Welcome to another episode of Eat, Smoke, Drink. Today I am excited to tell you, it's just one of my taglines. I'm excited. I'm always excited when I'm reviewing whiskey. But today I am truly excited to review the 2020 Diageo special release Pittyvaich 30-year-old. Yes, you got that right. Pittyvaich 30-year-old Diageo release. 2020 bottling, 1989. It is a ghost distillery, so the distillery is no longer producing. It is cask strength, and when I see the words cask strength, it arouses me greatly. So cask strength is 50.8%. Fantastic. So very relatively active barrel for a 30-year-old. That sounds great. It's 7,020 bottles in this run. So they must have had quite a few 30-year-old bottles. Pittyvaich is quite a recently closed distillery, so it hasn't been closed for a long time. So it's not like it's from, ages and ages ago it's closed. It's relatively recent closure. But in saying that, it is a closed distillery nonetheless, which means that it is always going to be a novelty because they're not making anymore. So let's get nosing. Delicious. Toffee. Smells like toffee, Russian fudge, caramel, sugar syrup, brown sugar syrup. Quite buttery, like a buttery popcorn. That's what I'm getting. It's like a buttery popcorn. Quite floral, rose water, a little bit of jasmine, orange marmalade, orange peel, raspberries, and a slight cereal note to it, like a burnt toast. A slight cereal note, a burnt toast. A very, very faint hint of burnt toast. Not so burnt, just starting to burn. But I love how buttery the nose is. I love how buttery it is. It smells like popcorn. What a glorious nose. What a glorious nose. And once again, when I'm reviewing the super premium stuff, I use a blender's glass because it does let me nose a lot more flavors out of it. You have to get used to it though, because it can be quite a harsh sensation on the nose. But if you get used to it, and you're okay. There is a slight herbaceousness. Once it starts to breathe, it reveals a slight herbaceousness to it, and I'm thinking rosemary and a little bit of licorice, like an aniseed. Shall I say aniseed? Sambuca aniseed. And black pepper. Let's get sipping. Quite a punchy beast. Quite a punchy beast. The style is old style, which makes sense. A lot of the closed distilleries tend to be old style. It's punchy, slightly fiery, it's slightly peppery. Like a chili pepper heat, which is fantastic. It's not a bad thing at all. It's not as smooth as you'd think it would be, which is also fantastic because it adds interest factor. It makes your hair stand up just a little bit, but it's not quite challenging. So it's a good balance between challenging and interest factor, and smoothness as well. And I do hate using smooth for descriptions because smoothness is not actually what I like in a whiskey. Although, not to say that I don't like smooth whiskies, but I do like to have something a little bit different. But it is a good balance between fieriness and smoothness, just on the fieriness and robustness, slight bias. But old style whiskey, a little bit of coal smoke, a little bit of candle smoke, pine needles on the palate, Slight sourness to it as well. The butteriness is there. Definitely the butteriness. Slight salinity, which is quite strange. Slight salinity, buttery, fudge. Definitely that popcorn saltiness that I'm getting in the palate. So that's quite cool to get that translate from the nose to the palate. I'm getting an unripe apricot. The back end taste and nose of a green apple. It's quite a mouthful, and I'm struggling to articulate the individual flavors. It's relatively cohesive in flavor, so it's hard for me to separate them right now. I'm thinking very hard. So just cut through this, by the way. Just cut through this. It's not too heavily oaked for a 30-year-old. Yes, the oak is quite prominent, but not too heavy. The tannin is not too heavy. I would say this is predominantly a bourbon, hogshead bourbon cask influence. There's not much sherry influence in it, if any at all. I'm getting a lot of vanilla. Not so much a coconut, but a lot of vanilla and a sugar syrup. Each sip, the progression is fantastic. I love it. I love it. A sign of a good whiskey, good selection of barrels, good bottling. Every sip I'm getting something different. Jalapeno. I'm getting a little bit of jalapeno and unripe kiwi now. I love that jalapeno slight chili heat. Very, very low heat, but a flavoursome heat. Absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. I have had from memory, the 28-year-old, and then I think they released a 29-year-old, and now I'm having the 30. So the 28 is much sweeter from memory when I had it. This one is less sweet, more on the sour side, the tangy side, but it is absolutely delicious. Mouthful, the palate sticks around, and then the finish is long. It's long. The finish is really long, and I'm not getting the new make spirit, so the barrel is well involved. The blending of the 7,000 bottles, the blending of those barrels have been exceptional, absolutely exceptional, because I'm not getting new make at all. I'm not getting a burny spirit. It is just a fantastic whiskey, and this is a testament to what Diageo can do. I'm not to say what they can do. They do it all the time. They've been doing it for a long time, but this is a testament to what Diageo can do with a single malt whiskey without blending it into Johnny Walker piles of yeah. So this is what a single malt can be, and from Diageo, I mean, you know, why can't Diageo do more of this? In fact, they are actually, which is great. So cheers, Diageo. Diageo is doing more of this. So yes, excellent whiskey. Would I recommend you buying this? Yes, I certainly would. It is not the cheapest, but I think it's a special treat for a landmark birthday, anniversary, someone's had a baby, or just because you want to buy a fucking good whiskey. Who gives a shit about occasions? Just get it, yes. And yes, it is a bourbon cask, by the way, it says in the bottom there. Detail is not my forte. I didn't read the label at all. I don't really care about that stuff. But what I love about this is that old-fashioned coal smoke that a lot of whiskies, modern expression and modern bottlings don't have anymore. That coal smoke, I don't know where that's from. It must be how they used to do it, but there is a certain smokiness to it that a lot of whiskies today have lost. And I don't know why, but it's such a good note. It's such a rustic note, you know, it's just a rustic note. But yes, I would recommend you getting this again. Until next time, Make sure you eat, smoke, drink. I'm not a doctor, so that is not medical advice. And thank you for joining me for the Pittyvaich 30-year-old. Cheers.